On a dark night in the Louisiana bayous, with the full moon hidden away behind a thick layer of clouds, a young kid by the name of Kevin, no older than 14 years of age, living in a cottage by a pond next to a large weeping willow, found himself staring out of his window. With the lack of moonlight to assist his already strained and tired eyes, Kevin was trying to look into the deeper and darker parts of the swamp, anxiously waiting and dreading the things he was sure to follow. Kevin's parents were both recently deceased, and the ominous nights, filled with sounds of terror and distant screams, kept him awake, terrified of this nameless evil that had taken a hold of the swamps around him. As the night went by and he felt himself drifting into a slow state of certainty that maybe, just maybe, the horrendous horrors that had transpired the last couple of full moons were finally over, he felt his eyes and body relax, feeling the bed behind him and the woven quilt that his mom had left him, enticing him to try and go back to sleep. But the second he took his eyes from the window, the corner of his eye caught a silhouette from within the swamps, and a far too familiar shiver ran down his spine. The man with the cane was back. Just like all the other times, Kevin saw that the silhouette wasn't alone. He was accompanied by another man, and just like all the others, he was well equipped and armed to the teeth. Kevin had heard them referred to as hunters, but what kind of animals would one be hunting with grenades and such heavy weapons? As the voices of the two men approaching came closer and closer, Kevin went quiet like the night and clutched his hands, knowing what was about to happen.
Things have already changed for the better since you took over the AHA. If anyone can handle the corruption, I'm certain you're the one to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. We're here.
Here? An abandoned cottage?
We're not here for the cottage.
The two men went to the usual patch of dried out grass behind the house and stopped underneath the window Kevin was sitting in. To Kevin, that spot was now a mark of previous, unspeakable horror. The companion of the man with the cane looked confused.
I thought you said we were going to create a powerful weapon.
Patience, dear sir.
The calm politeness of the man with the cane was unsettling. Considering everything that was going on around them, his demeanor seemed so out of place. The man stuck his cane into the ground, quickly drawing a large circle with various symbols around it. As he finished the drawing, he prompted his companion to put the finishing touch on the circle.
If you would kindly do the honors.
The companion took out a bag from which he pulled 4 candles, before placing each of them in specific parts of the circle.
Alright, so what's next, Chary?
The man with the cane stopped in his tracks. A haunting silence fell over the swamps around them, and Kevin shook as the daunting silence threatened to eat away at him, as he felt the eyes of the man drill holes into the skull of his companion.
Mr. Chary, I'm sorry.
It happens, dear sir. I trust it won't happen again. Now, this next part is simple. Hold this gun and sit in the center. Then we have to wait for the moon.
The mannerism displayed by this Mr. Chary seemed uncanny. And again he mentioned the moon. The moon itself seemed to be at the very center of whatever he had planned. He had mentioned to one of the others that the moon had been corrupted by something called a sculptor. However, it didn't take long before the clouds cleared and the moon revealed itself to the world. As the light from the moon hit the circle, the symbols turned white and the candles lit up in a shade of purple.
No matter what, don't let go of the gun.
Why would I...
Before the companion finished his sentence, the gun in his hand turned white hot. The sizzling of meat emanated from the circle, and the companion looked to Mr. Chary with eyes begging for permission to drop the gun. But no permission was given. The sound of a sizzle turned into a roaring sear, and the companion's groans turned to violent screams. But loyal to Mr. Chary, the companion kept his hands clutched around the gun, and just like all the others, Mr. Chary had promised him great powers if he completed the ritual, but Kevin wondered what kind of power would be worth such ungodly torture. The screaming seemed to last forever and ate its way into the bones of Kevin, who could do nothing but cover his ears and hope for it to go away. He closed his eyes and thought of his parents, wishing they were alive so they could chase away the man with the cane, freeing him from this recurring nightmare. Finally, the screams turned to whimpers, and as the whimpers subsided, Kevin found the courage to look out of the window again. A jolt of horror ran through his body. The hands of the companion were gone, melted off the bone. Skin, meat, and sinew hung in threads from the bony joints and digits, still clutching the gun. Tears ran down the face of Kevin as the companion, with an agonizing groan, raised the gun with his bony and mangled hands, placing it at his temple before he pulled the trigger. The shot tore through the quiet night in the swamps, rumbling off in the distance like a dreadful thunder. Kevin could do nothing but watch as the companion crumpled to the ground within the circle. The man with the cane approached the body, seeming to be unimpressed. He picked up the gun and examined it in the moonlight. The gun flickered in the white light from above, seeming to vibrate with heat, still scalding to the touch, but the man with the cane seemed unfazed. Having observed the gun for a while, he slid it into his coat pocket before he went back to drawing symbols around the body. Kevin couldn't quite make out what he was drawing, but it looked like a halo around the head of the companion. As he finished the drawing, the man tapped the dead companion's head 3 times with his cane before the ground beneath him opened up and swallowed the body whole. And in less than a minute, it was like the companion had never existed. Hey there, Hazmat here. This was only part 1 in the story of Mr. Chary and the Traitor's Moon, so stay tuned for more. As always, a big thanks goes out to the Hunters Lounge on Patreon, who helps me decide on future content and which you can join for a single $1 a month. Link is in the description below. Big thanks to Rexley and Tip from the official Hunt Showdown Discord, who helps me decipher the convoluted mystery that is the lore of this game. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.